And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. I've been telling you about their special. You can see their website right there, madmarine.com. Right now through November 18th, you got about 18 more days, you can get a 75 horsepower motor, 4-stroke motor, and with a free 3-year extended warranty for a total of 6 years warranty on that Yamaha motor. Also, $500 credit on select Yamaha motors. They are not just your boat place, they are your motor place, Madisonville Marine. All right, and walking into our place, Chuck Cavaleris, longtime SSFL, Sports Source for life. A lot of folks weren't happy when Tennessee hired Mike DeBoer as their offensive coordinator. He was too old, didn't know anything about these zone read offenses, wasn't even a coach when they hired him. It was a nightmare hire. Let's take a look at some numbers here. Don't know if people have noticed this or not, but Tennessee, and to borrow George Jones' old line, he don't need your rocking chair, Tennessee's projected the 5th highest scoring Tennessee offense since 1950. They're looking at 433 points this year. 5th best rushing Tennessee offense since 1950. Right now they're on pace for 2,569 rushing yards. Projected as the 7th most prolific UT offense since 1950. 5,000 total yards is the goal, is the projection there. You look at those numbers, and it's hard to complain too much about your offensive coordinator. However, you also have to factor in, did they sit on it a little too much early against Oklahoma, for example? What kind of impact has he had on Josh Dobbs, the passer? Offensive line, having to move all those guys around, young guys in there. So I'm going to start with you, Chuck. What kind of grade does Mike DeBoer deserve? What does DeBoer deserve?
DeBoer deserve?
At the 2/3 mark of the season.
I would give it a solid B. I think you touched on it in some of those biggest games. I don't think the offense did enough. But I mean, Florida's got one of the best front sevens in college football. Second half against Oklahoma. Was it DeBoer's decision not to go for the touchdown on the goal line against Oklahoma? So I don't put all of it on Coach DeBoer, but I think it's a solid B.
Okay, a B from Chuck. What do you think?
Yeah, I think C+ or solid or B. Yeah, the only reason I say that is because early on this year, and I think they can get better, is they didn't seem like they knew their players and who was out there, who needed to be in certain places on the field, who were your playmakers. And to me, maybe that's a new guy coming in, and it is a new system for him, and he's trying to learn how to fit the pieces. But it's obvious because, they're running different plays now this part of this season that they weren't running early on. They're putting other guys in different places. So part of that's why I say that it's taken a learning curve, but it maybe took too long a learning curve from when he got hired to now to get the right guys on the field.
All right, a C+ and a B. What have you got?
I've got him at a B+, and the only reason I don't have him higher is because they haven't done well in the fourth quarter. And maybe that's enough to knock him down a complete letter for some people, I guess. But if you look at the way they've started games, almost every game they've moved the football down the field. I know they've scored at least 3 touchdowns on the opening drives. They were moving the football against Kentucky when they fumbled. They kicked a field goal in another game. They missed a field goal in another. So I think their plan when they come out is good. The only thing that concerns me about where they're going is in the fourth quarter. I think they've scored 31 points in the fourth quarter this year. That's the lowest total they've had all year by far in any quarter. So that would be the only concern I would have right now about the board.
And last year doesn't help. I mean, yesterday doesn't help that statistic because they really weren't trying to score. But
Correct.
still, you're going to be looking at that for the rest of the way. They still didn't get any points in that quarter.
Yeah, well, you have to score against somebody late in the game to win it. That's to me the question mark with him right now.
Jacob Gillum, first your grade for DeBoer, and then also Will was talking about changeovers. Were there some terminology changes that went along with this as well, even though you were doing this for the continuity? But I think there was more changes behind the scenes than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, there was. I'm going to go ahead and give DeBoer a B+. I was a little critical of him earlier in the season just because I think there was some, not familiarity with the system early. We didn't run a lot of the bigger plays I know that offense is capable of, and I was a little critical, but I think he's opened the playbook up for the season that we've got, and there is a terminology change. He came in there, and our outside zone play we had run all of the 2 years Butch had been here. He took that out. He replaced it with more of the pulling guard, pulling center type outside zone plays. Yeah. So that's a change. Most of the terms kind of stayed the same as far as what the offensive line or receivers are hearing, but I know there's always a switch over with any kind of new offensive coordinator that it's going to be really not difficult, but it's going to be just, like I said, not a great familiarity with the system.
All right, that's our first Hot Reads question. Number 2, since their very first year in the conference, we're going to be quick in this one. Since their first year in the conference, we have compared the 4 coaches, SEC coaches hired in 2013: Brett Bielema, Butch Jones, Mark Stoops, Gus Malzahn. At this point, who's got the most? Well, let's take a look. What I did, let's take out that first year, which had a lot to do with what guys inherited. That is a pretty tight horse race. Gus Malzahn, these last 2 seasons, you take that team out that he got, that he had helped recruit and came back and inherited. Do those numbers surprise you at all?
I'm surprised by Malzahn because of his first year.
Yeah.
When the first year you come in, you take a team to a national championship game. But other than that, yeah, that's closer than I anticipated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a photo finish.
All right, now, most upside. I think Malzahn inherited the best situation. I think it then went Bielema, Jones, and then Stoops. Jones at least had tradition to sell. Stoops had nothing to sell.
Keeneland.
Basketball.
Keeneland, yeah. I think Stoops didn't look good last night, but Stoops has done a good job recruiting at Kentucky so far. Your thoughts on which of those 4 has the most upside at this point?
Which one's the best recruiter? I think it's Butch Jones. Which one has got the program on the upswing? I mean, Malzahn is no longer looking like the offensive genius that everybody thought he was. To me, yeah, I mean, and I know we're in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I think that's a pretty easy answer for the most upside.
Quick.
Definitely. I think it's Butch Jones just because of the recruiting ability.
Okay, Auburn recruits pretty good too now. But all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Butch Jones, but I think it's still a close call. Even though Malzahn's having a difficulty with his offense this year, I still think he's one of the best offensive minds in all of college football.
Jacob.
I have to go Butch Jones. I love the guy. He is a great recruiter.
All right. I thought those were interesting. And again, here's the deal. You can't take a year out. But that gives you a better look at what's happened now that you take Stoops inherited just a dumpster fire. So did Jones. Malzahn walked into a good deal. You take it out. Those last 2 years, I'm amazed at how close those were. Yeah. All right. When we come back, fame or blame, this is when we talk about that targeting call. And also we'll talk about Evan Berry, record-setting Evan Berry. Come on back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.